chosen one. This is not an ordinary moment, and it is definitely not a coincidence. What you are feeling right now is a divine wake-up signal from Allah, a reminder that something already written in your destiny is slowly unfolding in ways you cannot yet fully understand. That heaviness in your chest, that silent emotional pull, that unanswered longing you've been carrying for so long, it is not confusion, it is guidance. Because when Allah begins to prepare something for a servant, He first awakens the heart before He opens the path. And this is where most people misunderstand their emotions. They think silence means loss. They think waiting means rejection. But in reality, silence is often a sacred preparation. Right now your mind may be searching for answers, but your soul is being trained to trust what it cannot yet see. And here is the hidden truth that Shaitan never wants you to realize. When Allah is about to bring two paths together in a halal and blessed union, confusion increases temporarily because the unseen world becomes active around your destiny. That is why doubts feel louder, why memories feel heavier, why emotions feel unstable, not because something is wrong, but because something important is being arranged beyond your perception. Even your moments of weakness this week, when you almost gave up, when you almost settled for less, when you questioned your worth, were not failures, they were divine checkpoints. Allah was separating what is temporary from what is written, and that is why this message has reached you now, not by accident, not by algorithm, but by qadar. Because what is meant for you in Allah's plan cannot be blocked by timing, distance, or fear. Stay with this message, because what you think is delay may actually be the beginning of your divine alignment. Right now, there is a silent war happening inside your mind. But it is not just emotional confusion. It is a spiritual battlefield between truth and waswasa. Shaitan does not attack what has no value. He targets what carries destiny. And that is why your thoughts feel heavier than usual, why your heart feels uncertain, and why even simple emotions seem to spiral into doubt. Because when Allah is preparing something meaningful for a servant, Shaitan increases his whispers, trying to distort clarity into fear and turning patience into panic. That voice telling you it's over, or you lost it, or it was never meant for you, is not reality. It is deception designed to disconnect you from trust in Allah's plan. But here is what most people fail to understand. Spiritual pressure increases right before elevation, not destruction. The closer you are to something Allah has written for you, the more resistance you feel internally, because unseen forces try to delay your belief before they can ever delay your destiny. Even your overthinking is not random. It is a test of emotional discipline and tawakkul. And every time you resist the urge to give up, you are actually breaking the influence of waswasa without even realizing it. Shaitan's strategy is not to destroy your path directly, but to exhaust your certainty so you step away from it yourself. But Allah's mercy works differently. He strengthens your heart through awareness, patience, and signs that slowly remove confusion. And right now, the fact that you are still watching this message, still searching for meaning, still feeling a pull toward understanding, that itself is a sign that your fitra has not been lost. Stay with this moment, because the next realization will expose why this battle inside you is actually a sign of something far greater approaching. There was a moment recently, maybe in the silence of the night, maybe in the middle of your thoughts, maybe when your heart felt heavier than usual, when you almost gave up, almost settled, almost convinced yourself that what you were praying for was too far, too delayed, or maybe not written for you at all. But what you didn't realize in that exact moment is that almost giving up is often the exact point where Allah's protection activates in ways you cannot see. Because not every desire you feel is meant to be fulfilled immediately. Some are refined, purified, and protected from reaching you in the wrong form. That hesitation you felt was not failure, it was divine redirection. You didn't lose something, you were being saved from something incomplete. And here is the hidden reality most hearts never understand. When a believer refuses to settle, even in their weakest moment, Allah honors that resistance by reshaping their destiny quietly in the unseen. Shaitan tries to convince you that your patience is wasting time, that your prayers are unanswered, that your hope is fading, but in truth, every second of waiting is being recorded as preparation for something more aligned with your fitra and your future. Even your emotional breakdowns were not signs of abandonment. They were signs that your heart was being cleared from attachments that cannot enter your next chapter. And that moment you almost let go. It was the exact moment where Allah separated what is temporary from what is truly written for you. Because what belongs to you in the decree of Allah does not require force, manipulation or desperation. It only requires patience and trust. Stay here. Because what you thought was loss is actually the beginning of protection you didn't yet understand. Before your first breath in this world, before your name was known to anyone, before your heart ever felt love, pain or longing, your entire journey was already written with Allah. Nothing you are experiencing now is outside of His knowledge or control. Not the delay, not the confusion, not the silence, and not even the people who entered and left your life. Everything has been unfolding within a divine system of wisdom that your mind can only partially grasp. And this is where the heart must shift from questioning to surrender. Because what feels like randomness to you is actually precision in the unseen plan of Allah. Even the moments that broke you were not wasted. They were shaping your emotional depth, refining your patience and protecting you from paths that were not aligned with your destiny. Many people think they are being ignored when prayers are not answered quickly, but in reality, Allah is aligning timing, protection and preparation in perfect balance. Because when something is truly written for you, it does not arrive early, it does not arrive late, it arrives exactly when your heart and your destiny are ready to meet. And here is the hidden truth: the emotional pull you feel towards certain outcomes or people is not random either. It is often a test of discernment, to see whether you trust what is visible or what Allah has already decreed in the unseen. Shaitan wants you to believe your story is uncertain, unfinished, or slipping away. But Allah has already completed the writing of what is meant for you, even if you are still reading the middle chapters. That is why certain doors close, not to reject you, but to redirect you away from what cannot carry your future. And that is why this message feels so personal, because it is not just reminding you of destiny, it is reminding you that you are already inside it. What you are calling distance is not rejection, and it is definitely not loss. It is divine design unfolding in silence. Because when Allah is preparing something meaningful, He does not always bring hearts together immediately. Sometimes He first strengthens them separately so they can carry what is coming. And this is where most people misunderstand their situation. They assume that separation means ending, but in reality it often means formation. Right now, what feels like emotional space, unanswered thoughts or uncertainty about someone or something, is not random at all. It is part of a process where Allah is building patience, emotional maturity, and spiritual readiness inside you, because weak hearts cannot sustain strong destinies. And if everything arrived instantly, without preparation, it would collapse under the weight of unprepared emotions. Even in Islamic understanding, trials are not signs of abandonment, they are signs of elevation when responded to with sabr and tawakkul. Shaitan, however, tries to reinterpret distance as proof that you were never chosen, never valued, or never meant for what you desired. But that is a lie designed to disconnect you from trust in Allah's timing. Because what Allah has written does not disappear with time or space. It only becomes clearer when the moment of alignment arrives. And sometimes the very separation you are grieving is what is preserving the purity of what is coming for you, protecting it from becoming rushed, broken, or incomplete. Even your loneliness has purpose. It is shaping your dependence on Allah alone, not on temporary connections. And when your heart finally learns this level of reliance, something shifts in the unseen, because distance was never meant to break you. It was meant to build you into someone who can recognize, receive, and sustain what Allah has already prepared. Stay with this truth, because what feels far away is not gone. It is being perfected in timing you cannot yet see. Not every connection that enters your life is a sign of destiny. Some are tests, some are lessons, and some are carefully disguised illusions designed to reveal what your heart is attached to. And this is where the struggle begins, because the counterfeit often feels emotionally real at first. It can feel intense, familiar, even comforting, but intensity is not the same as divine truth. Shaitan does not always come with something obviously harmful. Sometimes he presents something emotionally appealing but spiritually misaligned, just to see whether you will choose feeling over guidance. But a connection written by Allah carries a completely different energy. It does not destroy your peace, it does not confuse your identity, and it does not force you into constant emotional instability. Instead, it gradually brings clarity, stability and alignment with your deen and your purpose. And here is the truth most people only understand after pain. Just because something touched your heart does not mean it was meant to stay in your life. Some connections are allowed to enter only to reveal your patterns, your vulnerabilities and your attachments, so that you learn discernment for what is real and what is not. The counterfeit, however, is often so convincing that it forces you to question your own intuition, making you believe that struggle is proof of love. But in Allah's design, love that is truly written for you does not require you to lose yourself to keep it alive. It does not drain your ibadah, your peace, or your emotional balance. Instead, it supports your growth and brings you closer to Allah. And sometimes what feels like heartbreak is actually Allah removing something that looked like a blessing but would have become a burden over time. Because divine connection is not just about emotion, it is about protection, alignment and barakah that continues even when tests appear. And once your heart begins to see through illusions, you stop chasing what only feels right and start recognizing what is actually written for you. Stay with this understanding, because what you are about to realize next will change how you interpret every relationship you ever experienced. You have been thinking that you are waiting for someone, but the deeper truth is that Allah is actually preparing you. Because before any divine connection can manifest in a halal and blessed way, the heart itself must be reshaped, purified and strengthened. And this is why your journey has not been smooth or predictable. It has been intentional. Every moment of solitude, every emotional shift, every unanswered question has been part of a silent rebuilding process happening inside you. Allah does not only prepare outcomes, He prepares people. And what you are becoming right now is not the same version of you that once accepted less, tolerated confusion, or confused intensity with destiny. You are being elevated into a level of emotional awareness where you can recognize what is from Allah and what is simply attached to desire or fear. Even the discomfort you feel in waiting is not punishment, it is transformation. Because patience is not passive in Islam, it is active trust in Allah's timing, while your inner self is being refined. And here is what Shaitan tries to hide from you. Isolation is not emptiness when it is guided by Allah. It is construction. It is where emotional dependency is replaced with tawakkul, where confusion is replaced with discernment, and where attachment to creation is replaced with reliance on the Creator. You are being shaped in ways you cannot fully see yet, so that when what is written for you arrives, you will not only recognize it, but you will also be able to sustain it without losing your identity or your connection to Allah. Because the goal was never just to bring you into something beautiful, the goal was to make you someone who can carry it with sabr, gratitude and spiritual balance. And when you finally understand that you are the one being prepared, everything about your waiting starts to make sense in a completely different light. There is a moment in Allah's decree where everything that felt confusing suddenly begins to make sense, not through explanation but through alignment. And when it happens, it does not feel chaotic or forced. It feels like calm recognition, like something in your heart finally settling after a long period of uncertainty. Because divine alignment is not built on emotional intensity or confusion. It is built on peace that remains even when life is not perfect. And this is where many people misjudge their own journey. They assume that destiny must feel dramatic, but in reality, what Allah writes for you often feels like ease after hardship, clarity after confusion, and stability after emotional storms. When two paths are truly aligned by Allah, there is no constant fear of loss, no exhausting uncertainty, and no internal contradiction that pulls you away from your own peace. Instead, there is a gradual unfolding where the heart no longer feels like it is chasing, but like it is arriving. And this is the hidden difference between desire and divine connection. Desire creates anxiety because it depends on outcomes, but divine alignment creates tranquility because it depends on trust in Allah's decree. Shaitan tries to confuse this by making intensity look like destiny and calm look like lack of emotion, but in reality, the opposite is often true. What is from Allah brings sukoon, a deep stillness that does not shake even when circumstances change. And when two people are truly aligned in Allah's plan, they do not drain each other, they elevate each other, they remind each other of purpose, and they naturally move toward what pleases Allah. Even the timing of their meeting feels precise, as if every delay, every silence, and every test was quietly arranging that moment. And when that alignment finally becomes visible, the heart does not question it endlessly, it recognizes it with certainty that cannot be forced, because what is written by Allah does not arrive to confuse you, it arrives to complete you. Now you have reached the moment where everything must settle inside your heart, not as emotion, but as certainty in the decree of Allah. Because what you have been experiencing is not random confusion, and it is not a broken path, it is a transition from uncertainty into divine awareness. And at this point, Allah is not asking you to see everything clearly. He is asking you to trust, even when not everything is visible yet. Because true faith is not built on what is revealed, but on how firmly you hold on to Allah when things are still unfolding. And this is the final realization you must carry. What is written for you by Allah does not require forcing, chasing, or desperation. It arrives with its own timing, protected by divine wisdom that no human interference can override. Shaitan wants you to believe that delay means denial, but Allah's delay is always protection, refinement, and preparation for something that matches your emotional and spiritual maturity. Even your past disappointments were not signs that you were forgotten. They were signs that Allah was shaping your heart to recognize what is real when it finally arrives. And now you stand at a point of decision, not between two people or two outcomes, but between two mindsets. Trust in Allah's qadr or surrender to doubt. Because the next stage of your journey will not be defined by what happens around you, but by what you choose to believe about Allah's plan within you. And if your heart is still connected to this message, then it is not coincidence, it is a reminder that your story is still being written in the unseen with precision and mercy. So now, take this moment seriously. Let go of every thought that makes you question Allah's timing. Release every fear that tries to weaken your tawakkul, and reconnect your heart to certainty that what is meant for you cannot be missed. If this message reached you deeply, then respond with belief, not hesitation. Comment Ameen, or I trust Allah's plan. Like this video to keep your heart connected to reminders like this, and share it with someone who is silently going through the same test. Because what Allah has locked for you in destiny will not be lost. It will only arrive when your heart is ready to receive it fully.